We got a very interesting market that's applicable to two games, a market environment that's going to continue to pay dividends for years to come. Stay tuned. Let's get it.
Yeah, I'm so fresh like the morning, mouth wide open like they yawning. Every time they see me, they in G-Stride. Homie, this is too far. Homie, I feel too alive. You can see me like Illuminati. You can see me like Illuminati. But I'm trying to...
What is going on, YouTube? Welcome to The Closing Line. My name is Troy Torrance, and I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday to represent Pub Sports Radio for The Closing Line. And I really come here to bring you two things, to remind you of two things, and to keep that with you for your sports betting years to come. And that is, the books aren't your enemy, they're your roadmap. Pay very close attention to market environments. And then the second one being limit psychological damage. If you start betting or acting on your emotions, you will go broke. That's a guarantee. So stay level-headed and attack the books. You got to do what the books don't want you to do before you make every bet. In fact, you should be asking yourself, what do the books want me to do in this situation? If you do the opposite, you're probably going to be profitable. With that being said, let's talk about last week, or let's on Tuesday. You know, every day feels like a week at this moment just because I'm grinding so hard, no matter what facet of my life that is. But if you look back at Tuesday this week, I lost 2.55 units, really on the backs of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Going into the Dodgers game, if you pull up the action that I had on Tuesday, this is all the action I had. Now, it looks like a long list, but that's 3 unders in the Pirates Braves, right? First 5 full game. It's 2 unders in the Marlins Mariners. And then there's 4 bets on the Tigers or on the Dodgers at the very bottom of the graph. They won first 5. They lost the last 3 games. Everything in the middle, in between the unders and the Dodgers, was a winner. And that's very consistent with how my season has gone this year. The Dodgers and the Yankees, I'm down 35.97 units betting the Dodgers this season. I'm down 26.5 units betting the Yankees this season. That's a combined 62.5 units on the Dodgers or the Yankees, whereas I'm up over 55 units on anything non-Yankees, non-Dodgers, sides and totals, all that. I posted all the action in Discord and the Dub Club this morning, and it's embarrassing. I'm too stubborn. Am I too stubborn to be betting these two teams in favorable market history? Is it flawed logic to continue, or is it discipline to continue? Then if you look at my net unit chart, which I have right here, so you remember we came out of a 61 unit deficit, a 61 unit hole towards the end of May. We're over a month and almost a half beyond that point. We brought it all the way up to 15 units, and since last Thursday, I have not had a winning day. It's been a straight line down. You can see it's back testing where we were towards the end of March. We had a big drop off, peeled back up before dropping off. Now it's just time to come down, retest it before taking off to the next layer. So let's get it. Let's get it today. It's very important we win 6 days in a row, 6 losing days in a row. Very hard to swallow. Very, very hard to swallow. We started off June with minus 0.73 units on this show. Then we follow it up yesterday. So we have two losing days to start off July on this show, which is a very, very new concept for us because 8 shows in June, we only had 1 losing day. 1 losing show in April, few in May, but still altogether on this show, we're up 35.17 units cumulative. And that's good job. That's good work. The show definitely helps me prepare the right way. And let's continue to grind and continue to get that cash. Every bet I usually add on this show, too, has been cashing at just a ridiculous clip. So it's been very helpful. Who we got hollering at me in chat? Colin Gregory, my guy. Anytime you have any questions, very supportive. Really appreciate you, dude. Swiggy Bets, got you in the background. Thank you for being just the man in terms of producing and taking care of business for Pub Sports Radio. Justin McElvey, touchdown, Troy. What is good, J-Mac? Next time I'm in Pitt, we got to link up, dude. Jermaine, Derek, what's going on? Bottom of the 9th bets. Dodgers have not been good to me, brother. Oh, my God, the Dodgers have not been good to me either. It's so hard. It's so hard. It's so difficult to deal with when you're losing so much money on two teams. It's funny that those 2 teams have been at the top of their conferences almost all season. Here I am down 60 units between those 2 teams. Tells you a lot about sports betting. Tasha, what's going on, girl? All right, come on now. First game up, and it's a very, very important game, and it's a very important market that I think everybody here that's on the show, if you joined early, there's going to be a lot of people that missed this segment. I feel like I'm going to bring some real value that you could take with you to the next show and to beyond when I'm not here to present my analysis on these games. So we got the Tigers and the Athletics, and let's see if this market has changed. I doubt it has. No, it has not. We're looking at all the bets in action coming in on Detroit. Sharp action is coming on the other way on the Athletics. So we got 79% of bets, 57% of cash on Detroit. And we got the line moving the other way. Here it is right here, 79.58. There you go. On Action Network, it's even more. 89% of bets, 90% of cash is coming in on the Detroit Tigers. What happens with the line? It plummets. It opens minus 143. It's down to minus 132. We have an 11-cent move away from this sharp action, which is something that has to be taken into account. You can see the odds that are currently available across the different books. And if you look at the market history, I find this to be fascinating. I made a graphic for this market. It's applicable to 2 games. It's what I alluded to in the beginning of my segment here. If we're looking at the Athletics and the Tigers market, a home favorite that opens between minus 200 and minus 212. You can see in the yellow, right below the team names, you can see the criteria there. Home favorite, minus 200 or minus 112, right? A very moderately sized home favorite on average. Line moving towards the road team and towards the over. And this is where I find it fascinating. Right now, we're looking at an out-of-division matchup, a non-divisional game. And you can see in the entirety of that non-divisional sample, 172 games, the home team's only winning 47% of the time. So you're talking about the line move being, chasing the steam would be very favorable for you, and the over sitting at 54% of the time. Well, what if we're looking at a total between 8.5 and 9, which is really where this total has been toggling since opening? It opened at 8.5, right? Ticked up to 9. Total between 8.5 and 9. Now the out-of-division sample says the road team's winning 60% of the time. We're talking about a plus money dog on the road winning 60% of the time, and the over coming in about 57%. There's another market that this game is, there's another game today where this market is applicable to. Is the very last game on the slate. The only difference is that one's in division. That operates completely differently. That needs to be taken into account. I think the divisional markets and out-of-division markets, they do operate. There's so many differences and nuances between the two, but they operate fundamentally different. So it's definitely something worth considering. And you could already tell by where I'm leaning towards by just looking at this graphic. We get into the matchup. We're looking at Framber Valdez on the mound with a 138 whip, a 440 xERA. We faded him his last time out with massive success. You can pull that graphic down now, Swig, as I'm talking matchup now. Great market. Take that graphic, snip it, put it in your back pocket. It'll lead you in the right direction. We got Framber on the mound, 440 xERA. We faded him last time out in Texas. He's actually been worse at home this season, which is kind of surprising. And we have seen regression from Valdez in his underlying numbers. There's no doubt about it. It's not glaring, but there has been regression pretty much across the board. He still has the ability to get chase and ground balls at a high clip in terms of what Framber's being, what he still offers in terms of valuable qualities that he has. But the 2 most valuable elements of a starting pitcher are really, what is it? It's chase and ground balls. If you could do those effectively, you're going to be able to find success. His sinker is really the problem because it's regressed, but his off speed has kind of offset that. Ultimately, this guy's he's somewhere between slightly above average and slightly below average in terms of a starting pitcher in the MLB and the Athletics. This is something I talk about every time. This is really my biggest hesitation in this game, and having the matchup correlate with the market history is the Athletics versus left-handed pitching. I talk about this every time I'm on the show when they're up against left-handed pitching. They're the worst road team in the MLB versus left-handed pitching. The worst. So if you isolate home versus road splits, you'll definitely see those numbers fall off. If you look at home or just on the season without isolating home versus road, they're one of the best teams versus left-handed pitching. Definitely something that has worked in our favor up until this point, so I don't want to just completely neglect that. But I do think Framber is in a spot where we want to fade him. Total's moving towards the over. Total moved 11 cents towards the Athletics, and all the action is coming in on Detroit. I don't really care about what Perkins has to offer. You look at his underlying numbers, there's not a lot of good news to find. 145 whip, 675 ERA, and a 408 xERA. And his numbers are skewed to some extent because 70% of his innings pitched were at home in a AAA ballpark. He throws the fastball changeup sweeper, can generate a ton of swing and miss with the off speed, has good velo on the fastball, but struggles with his command. And, his fastball run value is in the bottom 9th percentile, and he's a fly ball pitcher. So Detroit versus right-handed pitching 9th since June 1st. I look at this market. I look at this configuration of this market, and I have to move on two sides here. Moving on the Athletics money line, full game plus 115 per unit. Now moving on the over 9 minus 102. Now I bet the over 9 much earlier in the day. Athletics was not an afterthought, but it was something that I added after I came across some pretty big samples of data that suggest this is where we want to be fading the home team. So that's the way I'm looking. That's the way I'm looking towards the road dog and the over. They switched Perkins. It was Perkins versus Valdez. Oh yeah, it's Suarez. No, Perkins is probably the primary here, I believe. Let's see. Perkins. Jack Perkins is indeed the primary pitcher in this spot. All right, next game up. We only have a few on the card, so we can spend a little extra time with some of them, but I might be getting out of here a little bit early today. It's the Marlins. It's the Mariners, and I probably should have put together a graphic for this spot as well. So let me what are we looking at in this situation? We're looking at the Mariners facing a sweep on the road. You got Jansen Junk, you got Mason Miller, you got this line moving significantly towards the Miami Marlins. 37% of bets, 32% of cash on Miami. So you'd be saying I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth in this situation, because in one spot I'm going to be buying the dog. In this spot, I'm going to be buying the favorite. And there's some key things that I like about this market in terms of why I'm doing that. Non-divisional, or let's don't even worry about division or non-division, because it's pretty consistent across non-division, in-division, whatnot. Home teams that close between minus 105 and plus 115 after a line move 20 plus cents in their direction. The road team is 31-14 straight up in that sample, 69%. If it's non-division, the road team is 25-9 straight up, that's 74%. And if the total's less than 9, the road team is 20-8 straight up, 71%. There's just been so much value in fading these massive line movements in this market environment that there's no way I could just let this pass up, especially when I look at Bryce Miller on the mound and what he's been able to bring to the table. 0.66 whip, a 2.09 xERA, coming off 7 innings, 2 hits, no earned runs. Has been more vulnerable on the road, but he's still been very good. Both left-handed hitters and right-handed hitters are hitting under 200 with under a 550 OPS and under a 0.75 whip. These are insane numbers that he's been able to string together. And obviously, the underlying numbers suggest improvement year over year. The only red flag that is across his entire Savant pages is his ground ball rate. And it's not really a concern in this ballpark. I feel like he's going to fit right in very comfortably like he does at home. His pitching run value is top 5th percentile, and he's the best xERA that I've seen across any pitcher I've came across this season. We want to be looking to back this kid. He throws a splitter that he increased from 17 to 24%. It's mostly fastball, splitter, slider. He has some alternates, but on the 3 main pitches, the fastball, splitter, slider, look at the spray chart. Incredible command and location. All 3 pitches are posting sub 250 batting average, sub 250 X batting average, and less than 550 X slug. This is a kid we got to be backing. I know Miami's been hitting right-handed pitching, and they're 10th in the MLB right now. But the elite right-handed pitching, what have they done? Kirby, DeGrom, Webb, Skeens, like they all posted quality starts. And I think Bryce Miller's been performing better than all of those guys. So something to take into account when looking at the Miami Marlins versus right-hand pitching. Then you look at Jansen Junk on the other side, who's another guy that I like, and ultimately I would like to back him. However, this is a tricky situation. Jansen Junk, 130 whip, 4.0 xERA, 4.80 actual ERA. He's made one start, a single start since 5/25. So since May 25th, he's been out. But he's he's proving that he can be a quality pitcher in the MLB and a middle of the rotation starter. He limits hard contact, but he cannot generate swing and miss, which I think is going to be the death of him in this matchup against a team that I think is going to eventually turn around and head back north against right-handed pitching. They're 6th on the season. They're top 5 all last season. They've struggled recently, but I think the Mariners versus right-handed pitching is a team we want to bet on. Look at that graph, though. It's pretty insane to see. 237, 242. Then you start to see that drop over the last, what do we got there? What are the time rate? What are the ranges there? 20 games, 10 games, and 5 games. You can see that they have been falling off recently. But I think ultimately this is a team we want to be backing, evidenced by the last 2 full seasons of data that we have. I just think, Jansen, is his first name Jansen? Whatever. Junk is he's a middle of the rotation guy. I mean, he doesn't offer anything that's in terms of a pitch mix or a certain pitch that he dominates with. It's a four-seam slider changeup, none of which have an above average pitching run value. And you look at this market history, you look at the splits on the first five versus full game. The first five continues to move. Look at this. Look at this. Let me just make sure that this is real. I gotta refresh this first five chart here. So let's look at what's going on in this game. First five. Yeah, they're minus 150 versus full game. You're looking at way shorter prices. I mean, the splits between these two, minus 120 versus minus 145. It's a 25 to 30 cent split. I think that's completely that makes a ton of sense based on the situation, the matchup, the market suggested bet. So what am I doing? I moved on the Mariners first five money line for minus 145. I put 2 units on it, and honestly, I really like my position here. I'm not scared of fading this team in this spot when it comes to the first five. Let's go, Nathan. Let's go. We ride together then here, brother. We ride together. Mariners first five. Bottom of the ninth best. I just didn't like the line movement, but we had the same BS line movement on Oakland, Detroit yesterday, and it took me off my favorite play yesterday, which was the Tigers. I was on the Athletics yesterday as well. You're right. You're right. But just because one game, see, that's where the recency bias starts coming into play. Like it could for the cash cow, Right now I'm betting the cash cow like I've always bet them. They've made me so many units throughout the history, the history of since I've created the database. They've been failing for me, but I'm not going to abandon it. I'm not going to abandon a certain logic or thesis just because one game in a sample worked against me. You got to stay true to it, brother. Fireside, what's up, man? Mark A, welcome, boys. Appreciate any input y'all got. All right. So Mariners first five right here. We already talked about the Athletics money line. We talked about the over 9 to Detroit Athletics, and now we're going to talk about the next game, which I'm also on, and that's the Phillies Reds. And here I am on another public spot. So it's very dependent on whether. So I'm backing all 3 road teams up until this point because I am on the Phillies here, minus 157 full game money line because I really didn't see any difference between first five and full game. Nothing that led me in the direction of first five. But it's no surprise to see the cash flow in this spot. People are backing Luzardo. People are fading Singer. All you have to do is open up Singer's history to see a 5.03 ERA and understand that most people are going to be fading him and backing Luzardo. So you look at Brady Singer, who's got a 5.56 xERA. Now there's a caveat to that because since June, 31 innings, 27 hits, 11 earned runs. The only one bad start he had was against Pitt in Pittsburgh, where they definitely hit right-handed pitching hard. His 3 home starts were also pretty damn good. Baltimore, Milwaukee, the Mets. So there is some reason to believe that he's going to be uptrending. And as time continues, like we know he's not as bad as he's shown so far this season, especially early in the season. But the underlying numbers are not catching up very quickly. Bottom 1% in pitching run value, bottom 10% in barrel rate. And it is somewhat skewed, though, because it was such a poor start to the season. But so is Philly versus right-handed pitching. They're 22nd on the season. They're 7th since June 1st. So I do think, yes, Singer's uptrending versus right-handed pitching. But you can see it right there. I mean, since June 1st, this team is a top 10 lineup versus right-handed pitching, which would make a lot of sense given who they got in their lineup. Look at that, from 245 to 240, all the way up to 277. And now they're back down to 239, but that's a much smaller sample size. Very interesting to see. Then the Reds versus left-handed pitching. Look at that. Very interesting because that's only batting average, but weighted runs created plus for the Reds. They're actually 7th since June 1st as well versus left-handed pitching. They're 6th on the season. But let's see. You already see their batting average is starting to regress here over the past few games. But who they hit? Go look at the game log of Cincinnati Reds versus left-handed pitching. I mean, all the quality left-handed pitchers posted quality starting, had quality starts. And with Luzardo, he's another guy with a very straightforward pitch mix. And it's very interesting to see with Luzardo, too. At home, 6.60 ERA, 2.70 opponent batting average. On the road, 1.54 ERA, 2.29 opponent batting average. Something about being away from home definitely favors him. And we know the Phillies have a massive advantage in the bullpen. We have a market that's pretty clean cut, very small samples, which is why I didn't put too much equity into talking about the market environment, because you're going to see a lot of samples hovering around 64, 65%. And especially it's going to explode past that point if we're looking at a less than 10-cent move, which we are in this game. Oh, it's actually right back to where it opened. So as long as we see this line open within this range, somewhere between Phillies, where's this game? Somewhere between Phillies minus 150 to Phillies minus 180. You'll be looking at a really good spot for the Phillies, in my opinion, as a big road favorite. So I'm on the Phillies money line, minus 157. I got you, brother. Unanimously cashing the Mariners bet. Let's go, man. Let's go. I think the Mariners are the right spot. I should have been on the Marlins the past 2 days. I chose to pass. But I do think this is a good spot. Love the bounce back for the Phils. Absolutely. Something I didn't touch on. Phillies coming off a bad loss. The Reds' bats exploded yesterday. We know this offense is not very good, and we expect them to progress immediately coming into a game against Luzardo. So Phillies money line, minus 157. Next game up, Cardinals versus Brewers, a divisional rivalry. One I had to sit with all day long before I made a move. So I was on the Cardinals yesterday too. I posted the first 5 in full game for full units to X. I really believed in that spot yesterday, and I actually really believe in my action today. And this is another market that I dubbed the sharp trap in years past. And, in this short home dog price range, line movement in division has been extremely misleading. And that's exactly what we're looking at in this game. Home teams that close between plus 130 and plus 105, right? About a middle point from where the number currently sits at. It came back down to plus 113. It was plus 118. But anything on the plus side of plus money, on the plus side of zero here, you're going to be looking at favorable market environment in division with the line moving towards the road team. You want to fade this team. In the generalized sample, the home team's 56 and 55 straight up. It's about 50%. They're also 56% to the under in that sample. But what if we narrow it down to when the total is 7.5 to 8.5, looking at a lower total, right? Home team, 38 and 27 straight up, 58%. And if the line moved between 5 and 15 cents, which is still in the same pocket as what we're looking at right now, home team is 20 and 12, 63% straight up. So this is a strong enough market, one I've been backing for years with a lot of success, that I will be backing again. But the question is how much? And that's when you get into the matchup. I look at Palante. He's been great, 370 xERA. He's having one of his best seasons of his career, coming off 5.2 innings, 5 hits, no earned runs in Chicago. And he's been elite since June 1st. Only one bad start, going 5.2 or more innings in each of those starts. He added a splitter in the offseason and increased his usage of the sinker. And he profiles in the top 7th percentile in ground ball rate. He's above average in hard hit, walk, and barrel rate. The only metrics he's below average, whiff, chase, and K rates. And that makes sense, I guess, if you're looking at a walk rate to the extent that he has, right? It's very low. So that kind of pairs well with a lower K rate as well. But that's definitely the only thing that kind of sticks out in his numbers. His splits for his left-handed hitters and right-handed hitters are about even, but he has been much better on the road than he has been at home. Milwaukee got to him in St. Louis the first time they matched up this season, 6 innings, 8 hits, 5 earned runs. And we know Milwaukee's a top 5 lineup versus right-handed pitching. But here's the fine line is I like to back these pitchers that are up against the same lineup that they had just seen. I talk about this pretty frequently on this show, and that's exactly what I'm going to be doing in this spot. Because I look at the other side with Logan Henderson on the mound, and we don't have a ton of data on this guy, right? So you could see what we have here. It's only this data only reflects what few innings this year, 23 innings pitched across 5 starts the past 2 seasons, but the underlying numbers have been great. 274 ERA, 104 WHIP, 298 xERA throughout this season. His last start versus the Dodgers at home, 5 innings, 2 hits, no earned runs. But here's another guy that hasn't made a start since May 22nd. And, has posted an extremely high K rate with a low hard hit rate in a limited sample. Like, there's a lot of things that you could look at and say, this guy's going to pitch well today. It's really just hard to project out what to expect from him. But the one thing I do see when handicapping Henderson is how he performs off extended rest this season. The first time he started this season was on May 22nd. He hasn't pitched since May 22nd, but his first start this season after an extended rest, first time pitching in the bigs against at Kansas City, 2 innings, 2.0 whip, and 2 earned runs. It wasn't very good. Then he has another month off before his next start, and he comes back. His second start at Washington, 6 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned. But at that point, Washington wasn't the offense we're seeing today. From the beginning of the season through May 5th, when that start happened, Washington was 27th in WRC plus for his right-handed pitching. So that's something to keep in mind, in my opinion. The Brewers finish up this series. Then they travel to another divisional foe against Pittsburgh. The Brewers on the last game of a road-to-road series are 4-3 straight up. St. Louis finishes this series up. They remain at home against Atlanta, but they have been terrible at home in these home-to-home series, 1-4 straight up. But I have to be silent with the market history. I have to fade the steam in this situation, and I have to be backing the Cardinals. And I'm choosing to do that by taking the Cardinals first 5, both money line, first 5 plus a half, just like I played it yesterday. And that is because, and I'm not as confident reflected in the, how much I invested in this game, just because, yesterday the implied edge was much bigger. But I do think that this is definitely worth a bet and getting some action down on this first 5 for the St. Louis Cardinals. Notorious, the solution. Come on, man. Bring a solution for me today. I need it. I need to break out of this slump, dude. Not to mention we started today's action with the Guardians first 5, which they blew in the 5th. Ended up pushing. They had the Cubs money line, which ended up in a tragedy, blowing the lead late. Leading cards and under. Yeah, the under is definitely intriguing. And I do have some data that supports the under, but I also have data that would speak against the under. If I wasn't on the Cardinals, I probably would be betting the under here, Colin. Shit, that makes me want to look closer at the under. I'll talk to you in chat. Because I'm interested in that under. Next game up, we got the Rangers, we got the Angels, and we continue to cash on Urania. We cashed yesterday. I mean, this has got to be my best read on the season with Walbert Urania. We knew his changeup was probably the dirtiest in the MLB. Definitely my best read, in my opinion. Since he started, he's brought so much cash to the table for me. And so is this man, Detmers. Look at this action. 77% of bets, 74% of cash per Action Network is coming in on Texas. And let's see if this cash flow has changed over at Odds Logic. 80% of bets, 93% of cash on the Rangers. So yeah, you can see right there, 80%, 88%, very close to where that is. And on the over, hella cash, hella money coming on the over. We got 70% and 90% at the current moment. It's right around where it was when we documented these numbers on the screen here today. What happened with the line? Texas opened minus 149, and they're all the way down to minus 143. So we've been basically sitting with a 5 to 10 cent move all day long. And I just go back to, I look at Detmers on the mound, I look at Urania on the mound, and I want to back this road team. However, I'm going to be looking towards the under in this matchup, because when you look at home teams priced between minus 155 and minus 130 in division, with the total that opened and closes below 8, the home team is 28 and 29 straight up. Not very good, 49%. Very bad, actually, relative to the implied odds. The under is 28 and 27, 51%. Not too bad. But what happens in that sample when the market moves towards the road team? The home team is 10 and 9 straight up. I mean, 51%, not impressive. The under advances to 12 and 6, 67%. Then if we include the opening price range for the home favorite in division between minus 200, minus 120, a lot like we looked at in that first sample. Now we're looking at a very big sample with a 66% trend to the under. And the home team in that market environment has performed well. So this is a situation, but has performed well. I shouldn't even say that, because first the implied odds, they're still minus EV. So take it for what it is. But I do think that the under is worth looking at in this game. Now, I am hesitant because of my unders and how they've blown up in my face. We look at all this cash on the over. We look at this extremely low total that opened and closed. Right now it's between 7.5. It's right there. So all this money on the over, you look at these two pitchers. I mean, this to me aligns for a bet on the under. Eovaldi, I talk about this guy every day. We have seen some regression from Eovaldi. He's always pitching on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We talk about this guy all the time. I don't know how much we got to go into him. We backed Texas correctly his last time out. We have seen regression. Since June 1st, 6 starts, went 5 or more innings, allowed 3 or 4 runs in 5 to 6 games. So not very good, yet we're looking at this very low total. The major difference between this year and last year is his fastball efficiency. Last year, he was top 5 in pitching run value. This year, bottom 5%. Now, the splitter is still very, very good and very, very well located. However, the fastball's definitely left him behind a little bit. And he maybe went a little bit too far with his splitter usage as it continues to rise up. It's more than doubled over the past few years. Maybe he's getting a little bit too out of whack with that. But it's not like the Angels have been hitting right-handed pitching very much. 21st to 23rd on the season. So 21st since June 1st, 23rd on the season. And Eovaldi has pitched great versus this lineup. 101 at-bats, 238 opponent batting average, and a 651 OPS. Detmer's also in a great spot, in my opinion. He's got a 3.19 xERA. We backed him incorrectly against Boston his last time out. 5 innings, 2 whip, and 5 earned runs. But Boston has been embarrassing left-handed pitching they've seen lately. Actually, so is this Texas Rangers lineup. You can look at the Texas Rangers and what they've done. Look at that, man. Look at that. Just a sharp, aggressive upturn towards the upside and favorable regression versus left-handed pitching. I mean, they're up to 9th on the season. But Detmers has great numbers versus lineup. 51 at-bats, .59 opponent batting average, 232 OPS. He attacks the zone early in counts. He generates chase with the slider and changeup. The spray chart looks good. The xERA continues to suggest favorable regression. And he's been better on the road this season as well. So what I did in this game is after capping the market, I knew I was going to be looking towards the under. I look at this matchup. I look at this low total despite the Rangers destroying left-handed pitching and the line moving away from them, and that makes me think the under's the play. So I moved on the first 3 under 2.5 at -150. I paid the juice for the -2.5. I'm not going to build the 2. And then just because I think it's going to land on 2, at a high frequency. And then I got the under 7 at -102 as well. You might be able to get a little bit better of a number now, but 7.5, good numbers to grab. Good numbers to grab, in my opinion. So the next game up, and probably one of my favorites on the card, just predicated on this market environment, which I'm starting to fall in love with. So let's see what Odds Logic has on this game at this point. If you could pull up the cash flow for this Padres versus Diamondbacks game. If you look at Action Network, 77% of bets on the Padres, only 48% of cash. You look at Odds Logic, earlier today, Here we go. So 73% of bets per Odds Logic, 73% of bets on the Padres, but 65% of cash on Arizona. We're looking at sharp action coming in on Arizona on the road team. So let's go through this market history. What happens in this type of market? Divisional home teams that close between -140, -125. Great middle point for this game. Total between 8.5 and 9. Are we still sitting between 8.5 and 9? Yes, sir, we are. Perfect. Right where I want the line to be. With the line that moved towards the home team, where we've seen a 6-cent move towards the home team in the spot. Home team is 30 and 19 straight up, 61%. They're also 31 and 16 to the under. If the line move is less than 10 cents, 17 and 9 straight up, 65%, 68% to the under. But if we look at sharp action that's on the road team, the home team's 15 and 6 straight up, 71%, 17 and 4 to the under. And if you have both criteria present, 10 and 3 straight up, 12 and 1 to the under. Just fascinating to see how this game trends to the under. And if we open this same profile up market-wide, not just divisional, home team's 48 and 30 straight up, 62% and 54% to the under. I look at the pitching matchup. Do you want to bet an under with Griffin Canning and Merrill Kelly on the mound? Hell no. But why is the market history so favorable towards this under? Griffin Canning, 6.71 ERA, 4.81 xERA, coming off 2 decent starts, only went 4 innings in each. Against the Chicago Cubs and the Dodgers, but they were decent starts. We can pretty much expect him to go 4 or 5 innings, giving up 2 to 3 runs. Underlying metrics put him in the bottom 10th percentile. And the fine lining is Arizona has been absolutely dreadful versus right-handed pitching. They're 28th since June 1st and 30th on the season. And you can make the argument, right? Well, Griffin Canning is a different story because he's so bad. Well, maybe he is, and maybe the Arizona Diamondbacks can get to him. I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibilities, but we just watched German Marquez go 5 innings, 3 hits, no earned runs. So if German Marquez can go out there and give that type of performance, Why should we not expect Griffin Canning to be able to follow that through? France up 2-0. Thanks for the update, AJ. So I think Griffin Canning can post a good start in this game. Then we look at Merrill Kelly with a 156 whip, 571 ERA, and a 778 xERA. You can see some of the recent histories coming off 5 innings with only 2 earned runs against Milwaukee, but he had a 2.0 whip. It's pretty damn lucky. And he's posted nearly a 2.0 whip since June 1st, every single start. He's been giving up a ton of traffic on the base pass, and he's truly in the bottom 5th percentile per savant. Worst xERA in baseball at the moment. Bottom 1 percentile, he's literally in the very lowest quadrant you could imagine. An expected batting average, expected slug, xWOBA, and K rate. The changeup is the only worthy pitch this man has left. The fastball might be the least effective in the MLB. Last year, his fastball had a put-away percentage of 20%. Now he's all the way down to 7%. And yes, San Diego Padres, their offense versus right-handed pitching, 20th since June 1st, not very good. They're 26th on the season, not very good. But you could see that start to uptrend here from 209 to 218 to 224 to 227. And if you look since 620, they're actually 10th in WRC plus. And we know the Padres bullpen is significantly better, and they're all available today. Arizona travels to the Dodgers after this series. Big series with the Dodgers. The Padres remain at home against Toronto. I think the Padres are going to be way more locked in this game. I have to bet this market environment, and I have to bet it heavily. I bet the Padres money line minus 120, and I'm going to be adding the Diamondbacks team total under for 1 unit. I got 2 units on the money line, full game, minus 120. And I will be putting 1 unit on the D-backs team total under. Trying to cash that France plus 485 future. Well, I was rooting against France until now. Colin. I will be rooting for you. I will be pulling for France from here on in. So 2-0 France. It was tied at halftime, right? It was damn near tied. Padres money line 2U. D-backs team total under 1U. And with that, let's keep rocking and rolling here, man. All right, let's go. Last game on the board, Giants and the Rockies. And let's see what we got from a cash flow perspective. Let's see if anything here has changed. 69% of bets, 48% of cash per action. And we look over here at the odds logic, the live odds screen. What do we got? We got 62% of bets, 59% of cash coming in on San Francisco. We have seen this market start to trickle back. You can see it right there. The Giants, I have them opening minus 143. They're down to minus 131. The graphic is showing a 5-cent move. And if you look across the market, I mean, it's between a 5 and 10-cent move towards the Colorado Rockies in this spot. The total opened 8 juice to the over. Now it's all the way up to 9. We've seen a massive move towards this over. So here we go again with the same market that we discussed in the first game. What happens when you have a home favorite between minus 200 and minus 112, line moving towards the road team and the total moving towards the over? We talked about in a non-divisional spot, you want to be backing the road favorite or the road dog in this. But in this case, in division, the home team is 60% on the money line versus in non-divisional, 40% on the money line. It completely flips. And so does the total expectation. I'm seeing trends to the under in this spot. And I would expect that to be where it probably lands. But now I have to account for an even bigger move from 8 all the way up to 9, which definitely will take some time in the database. I look at the starting pitching matchup, and it's hard to make heads or tails up with Weisenhunt on the mound. Again, another pitcher with only 28 innings, 148 whip. He's got a 5-ish xERA throughout his 28 innings in the bigs. His last time out in Atlanta, 5 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned. You can see it, his only start this season. He only had a few performances last season. I watched him pitch against the Cubs last season, and he wasn't very good. And it was at home in San Francisco where you'd expect him to be better, just like you would expect him to be better today. But he does pitch with his left hand. Now, if we look at the Rockies versus left-handed pitching, you're going to see some uptrend over the most recent history. You can see from 266, 268 to 293. It's funny that the 266 seems extremely high because versus left-handed pitching on the season, this is their 30th in the MLB, and the Giants are at home in this run-suppressing ballpark. I expect them to pitch well. especially considering the Rockies just went toe-to-toe with the Dodgers and cost me a ton of money. Now, that's why I'm staying off the spot, though, because I do have a little bit of a bias now created where I just want to continuously fade this Rockies team. We look at Feltner, on the other hand, 4.91 xERA, but he's been so damn impressive, in my opinion, since May 30th. Considering he's pitched most of those innings in Colorado in the thin air, he also has the Cubs in the same sample. He played Feltner against the Cubs 2 times. He caught the Red Sox when they've been uptrending. He's got the Brewers on his resume. He's got the Dodgers on his resume. I mean, this guy has been pretty damn impressive. He's increased the usage of his slider year over year about 10 percentage points, and it's been his best pitch by far. And now he has reverse splits. So he added the slider, and he's throwing it versus left-handed hitters, and he's been much better versus left-handed hitters. And he mixes in the change. The fastball's okay, but not consistent. San Francisco versus right-handed pitching, 14 since June 1st, and on the season. But you can see the downtrend. And we know the Giants are totally capable of going into huge, massive slumps throughout the course of a season. That could be today. Right now, I'm leaning towards the Giants. I'm leaning towards the under. But we have a lot of time to think about this game, to see where these numbers are about to land. And it's just really hard to trust Weisenhunt. It's really hard to fade the Rockies. So definitely my first lean in this game would be towards the under and fading this massive move towards the over. Top set. What's going on, dude? What's going on? Looks like we ride or die today, confirming all my needs tonight. Good news, no Dodgers and Yankees tonight. Colin Gregory, oh my God, I was thinking that same thing. It's funny, too. I should have been betting the Yankees today. But I stayed away just because that's how the mental gymnastics that you do as a sports bettor, as a gambler, the recency bias, just how impacted you are by history. Like we talked about early in the show, like with the Athletics and Tigers, we had our guy in chat talking about like, hey, this market was the same as yesterday, and it kept me off the Tigers. And that's the type of situation where you just got to go back to the well. You have to be disciplined from that standpoint, especially in a market that's been historically favorable. And with that being said, let me just touch back in on the action I've got here, man. We got the Tigers Athletics over 9. We got the Athletics money line. We got the Mariners first 5 money line for 2 units. We got the Rangers Angels first 3 under 2.5, full game under 7 for a unit apiece. We got the Padres money line for 2 units. We added the Diamondbacks team total under. I might be adding to this Diamondback spot. If all this sharp action stays on the Diamondbacks and this line doesn't move, I'm going to take that as an ultimate sign to be backing up the truck and betting the Padres, backing Griffin Canning. Because still, what name holds more name value, Griffin Canning or Merrill Kelly? I think Merrill Kelly holds the name value and holds the tax inherently. So the Padres are probably my favorite spot on the board, to keep it real. But for this show's purposes, I'm going to be rocking with the for 2 units on the money line. And with that being said, that's closing it up. That's going to close the show for today, July 9th, 2026. Everybody in the chat, thank you guys for showing support, showing love, and sticking with me through the ups and downs. Trust me, man. Like when I lose, the pain I feel is intense. Like it takes me a full sleep. I need to sleep it off. I need to wake up with a clear frame of mind. I need to do whatever it takes to keep my mind clean. And I'm going to be here every Tuesday and Thursday, armed to the teeth with information to help everybody here cash, be it being riding with me or fading me. It doesn't matter. I just want my squad cashing. And so I'll be here every Tuesday and Thursday. Obviously, Peter Loshak's going to take care of Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, bringing the goods. 5 a.m. It's when I sat down in this chair, and I've been grinding ever since. Now it's time to watch our investments flourish. I put on the lucky shirt for today. So with that, good capping, good luck, and I'll see your ass next Tuesday. Peace.
It's easier to sleep in the black when you're losing your ass and feeling so. You know what to do. Tune in to Pop Sports Radio. Easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. It's a roller coaster ride, you're gonna catch a bad beat. No problem, keep your head up and just bet the spreadsheet. It's easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. All thanks to Jeff Slaughter. These shows have our backs. POD's always rolling, especially the stats. Easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. We got Jimmy, Jose, Dabby and the fam. Dutch wine time, Spooner and OG Wham. So hit the like button. Don't say that you can't. If you know what's best, just put your money on tape.